Hi there, it's Bruce Ferris. Let's try and do a market analysis under 10 minutes. Let's see what we can do. You got to kind of get a bit of a deep dive, but we'll scream through it here very quickly. My first grid that I'm looking at here, my first statistics is taking a look at median sales price over the last 3 years. So you have a little bit of history on this. This is back at the beginning of COVID right here. And we saw a lot of activity, but it was really 2021 where we saw our first big rise here. Here's December 2020. That area of Ballard to View Ridge is at 827. The Seattle overall, that's 145th down to Othello. That's at 795, and Beacon Hill's about 727. The Ballard area, Ballard View Ridge goes up to 950. Overall goes to 909, and Beacon is kind of bopping back and forth. But here's our big crazy rise here. And this is January of 2022, and it just explodes. You can see all three areas were affected by it. So if we look at what we were like at the beginning of COVID, Ballard View Ridge at 786 is now at 1.127. That's just amazing. Same thing if we look at Seattle overall at 755, its crest would put it up at 1.025. That was not sustainable, and that's what we saw here was correction taking place. But what was also interesting was we had a massive amount of multiple offers taking place. We had extremely short market time taking place on these, and then things kind of evened out. So let's go take a look at that. So I'm looking at this area up in here. This is the Ballard View Ridge area running across here. Got pulling up some out of Beacon Hill over here, and also West Seattle over here. So my first thing I'm taking a look at is those things that went into pending status back in around October. And when I look at that, we had 117 total that sold at that time, and 72 of those sold in 10 days or less. 72 of 117 sold 10 days or less. That's going to be important. I'm going to compare that against all these. Now we go back into the March zone where we had all that hot activity. 178 total properties that closed using the criteria that I put in there. But 165 of those went there in 10 days or less. If I go and do the same thing now for our January 10th of 2023 coming forward, so really just the last month or so, we've got 70 total closed or in pending status, and we got 39 of those, call it 40. So 40 of the 70 went into pending status 10 days or less. So let's go back now. If I look at those ones that were in the October zone and look at the initial price on that, this is really important. 1,500,000. 1,005,000 is start price, and 1 million, call it 32, 1,032,000 is sold price. That puts it at 102.63 sale price list price ratio. So that is, what did the final sale price look like in comparison to the actual list price? Well, let's go back then to March and look at that. And we see a 963,000 launch, and we see hitting the finish line at 1.164. And we'll look at this number, 120.68 sale price list price ratio. That's massive. That's that big spike that we saw there. Now, if we're seeing then looking at the pendings currently, I don't have any close prices yet because of they're just went in pending status, but here I have a $900,000 start price. So let's compare that for fun. Let's go 900 for us right now. Let's go back to March. 963,000 was start price, but remember it had the 121. And then let's look at our October. They started at 1,000,004. So what do we got here? We've got $100,000 differential on start price between us now and what it was like back then in October. So they were being quite aggressive, and that reflected this right here. They all thought they were up there. Only the buyers basically said, no, that's not the case. We're not willing to do that. One last thing to take a look at is that we've got, in our current grouping, we're at $498 per square foot, roughly. And if we go back to the October, they were already up at 120 or 524, But look at this, check this. Your sales price for your March listings was $598. That's fully $100 per square foot more than it is currently. So we clearly have come down in market value. We've had a correction, but that correction actually isn't a massive destruction. It's just simply taking us back into the zone where we kind of were right at the beginning of COVID. If I were to read this correctly, Let me put a more gentle thing on there and see what we get. A 3-month rolling. January 2020, Seattle overall at 750, and now it's at 900. I look at 735 versus 857. The Ballard is 750 to 900, and Beacon Hill even at 542, up at 695. So really interesting there. But if I do the 1 year, it's a little bit more critical. Basically 900. So that's it. I hope I'm under 10 minutes. And we're in a marketplace where properties that are properly priced will go to will go to pending status in a fairly quick zone, and that's pretty encouraging.